bottom half that makes this one go down as one of the best World Series of all time. That's what I'm looking for. So, we'll touch base on the World Series Wednesday night. Tell you, we'll catch up on how the game went Tuesday, things to look forward to in Wednesday's game. Wednesday's game will kick off right about the time our show is on Wednesday night. So we'll definitely try and get that in early on Wednesday. All right, let's just get into some NFL talk now, shall we? All right, NFL games. It is Sunday. Sunday is dominated by the NFL in this time of year. And starting off early this morning, if you guys were able to watch it, was the Los Angeles Rams and the New York Giants from London. Early morning game, kicked off before everybody else. And the Giants pulled this one out 17-10 there in London. The Rams, this is a team that will continue to baffle me. They're going to stick with Case Keenum at quarterback. That tells you a lot about what they think about their rookie that they chose to go ahead and draft this year, with everybody else playing rookies and giving them time here and there when they need to, or when somebody's hurt or somebody's down. And they're going to continue to go with Keenum, who's not really struggling, but he's not really succeeding at this point. Sure, he went for 290 today. He ended up throwing the ball 53 times, way too many times for Case Keenum to be throwing the ball. I mean, look, Eli Manning threw it 37 times for 196. He didn't have a great game either. His receivers really weren't doing a lot for him. Odell Beckham didn't get off. Victor Cruz didn't do anything. He led the team today with 55 receiving yards. Their running game didn't do much. But in the end, they're playing a Rams team that, for all the talent they have, battling through injuries or whatever, they cannot manage to win a game. And they lose this one in London today. Didn't score after the first quarter. They put up 10 in the first quarter. We're up 10-0 going into the second. Tied at halftime, and then the Giants were able to get 7 late in the fourth quarter to seal that victory as the Giants play in another close game this week. No real fantasy numbers out of this game. There were some turnovers, but nothing really all that exciting or great coming out of the Giants and Rams game this morning. The Battle of Ohio today. Cincinnati and Cleveland squared off today. This game was actually a pretty good game. It was fun to watch. It was a little better for Cincinnati, obviously, as they were the victors today, winning this game 31-17. And, they played consistent throughout. Nobody did anything in the fourth quarter. It really got tight there at the end of the game. But you saw great players making great plays. The Hail Mary there before halftime where A.J. Green has got guys draped all over him. It's triple, quadruple coverage. He tips it. It bounces in. He keeps his hand on it. He is able to pull it in. That was a great catch. That was an amazing play. That was great focus. Cleveland has to bring in another rookie quarterback, Kevin Hogan, out of Stanford. He throws for over 100 yards, throws a couple picks. He rushes for over 100 yards. Leading Cleveland in both of those categories. And Cleveland's now had 6 players throw at least one pass in the first 7 games of the NFL season. First team to ever have that happen or be in that situation is, your Cleveland Browns. And you see where that's getting them. Their tight end was their leading receiver today. He had 66 yards for him, Gary Barnidge. No touchdowns there. And it's a rough season for Cleveland right now. They dropped to 0-7. They're looking, pretty much towards next year. If they manage to win 9 straight and get into the wild card talk there to the season, that'll be a great story. I just don't see it. Jeremy Hill went off for 168 rushing yards today. He had that really long run there early that really set that out. A.J. Green had 169 yards receiving and a touchdown. So some good numbers there for fantasy teams. And even Brandon LaFell came through with another 83 yards and a touchdown. So good fantasy numbers there for the Bengals today if you guys had any Bengals playing on your squad. And, they stay up in the AFC North. They're staying pat. They're staying right there with the Steelers and everybody else who are leading that division. My Lions, your Lions, everybody's Detroit Lions. They make it interesting, don't they? Not a great game offensively or defensively for this one for either Washington or Detroit, honestly. A lot of injuries, and it's really starting to show for the Lions roster how they're leaning on Stafford. And if you didn't believe me about Stafford and you didn't believe some of these experts talking about Stafford this week, if you watch today's game, you see exactly why he's an MVP candidate of the NFL right now at this point in the season. The Lions have now won 3 straight games, and barring a couple, really bad calls against Green Bay, not showing up to play at all against Chicago, and losing to Tennessee by 1 point, this season could be looking much different for us right now. Even with all the injuries and things we've had to battle, losing Darius Slay today, the number of guys that were not on the field today, starter-wise, and all due respect to Washington, they did their best. They had injuries. Josh Norman went out early as he got knocked out on a tackle where he got burnt by Marvin Jones and his head bounced off the turf. When I saw the initial replay, you could see his eyes just had gone goofy as he starts to roll over from the initial tackle, and he's not there. When he rolls over onto his stomach, he's unconscious for a minute. He's loopy. He's seeing stars. So good job, NFL, taking him out of the game, making sure that he didn't come back and do any further damage, because he hit the deck pretty hard there after he got burnt and then tried to commit pass interference to stop the play. But, and Washington's defense suffered after that a little bit. And again, like I said, neither team really did a lot on offense or defense. Stafford was our second leading rusher for Detroit with 32 yards. Forsett had 33 yards on his 8 carries. Zach Sr. was able to produce a touchdown for us. Golden Tate had some great plays. The ricochet play off of the back of the Washington defender was great. He picked up another 93 yards. Jones had 94 yards for us. Kirk Cousins went over 300 yards passing. Out of 30 for 39, he had a great day throwing the ball. And Crowder had a great day catching the ball for him. We could not stop Crowder at all. So, things to look forward to, but that's another win for the Lions. Both teams moved to 4-3. Let's keep it rolling. One pride, go Detroit. All right, Oakland Raiders, they played Jacksonville today. They pulled out a big one, 33-16. I expected this game to be a little closer, and it was partway through, and then Oakland just kind of put it away in the second half. And, they put up the 17 points in the second quarter. They were up 20 to 6 at halftime. And they got a lot of breaks today. I mean, that 4th and 26 where their punter King pulls it down and runs for a first down, that doesn't happen. Del Rio seems like he's going with the ride or die calls right now as the coach. So he's either going to win big or go home. That could be a tricky philosophy when you come towards the end of the season and when you start playing some of these better teams that the Raiders are going to have on their schedule that could, pose problems with that kind of mentality that has kind of gotten them through. Derek Carr, decent game, 23 of 37, 200 yards and a touchdown. Not much out of the running game for the Raiders again. That's something that's a work in progress. Crabtree had a good game. Bogus calling his celebration flag. We're not going to get into that, though. And we just don't see the plays coming out of Jacksonville that we did last year, out of Hearns and out of their other receivers. We're not seeing the rushing attack form the way we thought it would at the beginning of the season. So they have a lot of talent there in Jacksonville, but it's just not coming together yet for them. Not the way we thought they were, or who we thought they were before the season started. All right, let's get into one more game before the break, and then we'll hit the others on the other side of the break and try and get everything in before this night game gets started between Arizona and Seattle. Excuse me. As we talked about, the New Orleans Saints traveled to Kansas City this week, and they took Jamarius with them, their new hype man. And they were not able to pull the game out today. However, Kansas City held strong at home, won 27-21. And they pretty much dominated the first half. They were up 21-7 at halftime. New Orleans tried to make it interesting there in the second half. Drew Brees did what he could. 48 attempts today, 37 completions, 367 yards, 3 touchdowns. So another typical Drew Brees game. Michael Thomas, the rookie, had a big game, 130 yards receiving on 10 receptions. But when it was all said and done, it was the Kansas City Chiefs and what they were able to do as a team and what Spencer Ware was really able to do today, which I'm kicking myself about because I did not play him today in my fantasy team. I had him on the bench. I sat him for Shepard from New York thinking because the secondary in LA was beat up, Shepard might get off today, but he did not. Spencer Ware did. And Kansas City holds out and wins this one 27-21 over New Orleans. On the other side of the break, we'll hit some more games, and then we'll get you out of here before this night game gets started.
Hey guys, the NFL is back. It's time to win some cash playing fantasy football. TheDirtCannon.com is a local company that has your back. They have produced over 60% winners on FanDuel, DraftKings, and now even Yahoo. TheDirtCannon.com will help you build, play, and win. Build a better team with TheDirtCannon.com. Use promo code RDST and get $5 off forever. And try the Silver membership this week for free. Visit TheDirtCannon.com.
Alright, let's get back into it. We talked about this game yesterday, we talked about this game Wednesday as being a potential big game in the AFC East between Miami and Buffalo. And Buffalo went in, they were up early, they looked like they were going to hold on strong, and there in the second half, Miami just came back, put it to them, scoring 14 points in the fourth quarter to end up winning that game against Buffalo, 28-25. And what ended up being, like I thought, a great AFC East battle between those two teams. Tyrod Taylor, typical Tyrod Taylor game. A little over 200 yards passing, a touchdown, had some rushing yards, a touchdown. Goodwin, you can't have Goodwin being your top target, but they got some injuries right now in Buffalo. He had 93 yards and a touchdown today. Ryan Tannehill went for over 200 on 15 to 25. And the big story coming out of this game really is Jay Ajayi. He joins only O.J. Simpson, Ricky Williams, and Earl Campbell as the 4 players who have rushed for 200 or more yards in back-to-back games during a season, as he goes for 28 carries, 214 yards, and a touchdown today for Miami. Jarvis Landry lays a ridiculous block, and a player has to be escorted off the field by an ambulance to the hospital. We hope he is okay. They're calling it a dirty play. It's up for you to choose. I would have rather not seen him make that block. Kenny Stills goes for 100 yards today and a touchdown for Miami, as again they pull out that one there in the AFC East, 28-25. Baltimore played the Jets today. Geno Smith starts the game. We all know Fitzpatrick was benched. Going into this game, you have a Jets team that beginning of the season looked like they were going to be competitive, looked like their front seven was going to be strong. Things just have not come together for them. They end up benching Fitzpatrick because he's throwing interceptions like he's passing out tic-tacs, and it looked like Baltimore was going to be able to take this game. Now Baltimore's up 20-14 at half, or 16-14 at half, excuse me. But the Jets come out, put up 10 points quick in the third quarter, and that pretty much ended off the game. Geno Smith went out in the second quarter. They brought in Fitzpatrick. He comes back, gets them the victory, and after the game really expressed his displeasure with the coaches, the owners, the GM, and everybody else for the fact that he wasn't starting already anyway. Now, he didn't have great numbers today, 9 of 14, 120 yards and a touchdown. Not great. They rode Forte today. He had 30 carries on his old legs, got 100 yards, scored a touchdown. Inuawa, sorry if I mispronounced your name, but you had that big, long touchdown there in the first half. Mike Wallace showed up a little bit in this game with 120 yards. No scores, though. And Joe Flacco's forced to throw the ball 44 times because they got nothing out of their running game. The two players that they kept and let Justin Forsett go to Detroit, West and Dixon, they combined for a total of 9 carries and 10 yards today.